Good evening and welcome to the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. We're coming back from executive session. I look for a motion to come back to a public meeting.
Make a motion to come back to public meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So we just conducted interviews for the position of fire captain, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. That's why we're sorry for the delay. We've had a reasonably busy month again, and so we'll start where we're going. Tonight we're going to go, we had a number of things that happened this month. One was the election, which we will talk, Tom's here to talk about. Let's start with the Chief Grogan is out tonight, and Assistant Chief Stupple is sitting in. So, Assistant Chief Stupple, can you give the Chief's report?
Certainly. Good evening. This report was prepared by Chief Grogan. The alarm activity for the month was 268 total incidents, 10 of which were fires, 137 involved EMS and/or rescue. There were 3 incidents where mutual aid was provided by the town and district to other municipalities, and 3 instances where mutual aid was received. And there was 121 other events, providing a total for November of 268 once again. The shop activity for the month involved mostly minor repairs that were handled in-house, with the exception of a piston repair to one of the outriggers on Tower Ladder 17. This did involve the service of an outside vendor, and the repair was successfully completed. Fire prevention, that office continues to maintain a very active schedule of inspections and code enforcement. The Station 5 move is ready to go. Some unexpected delays did occur due to gas service upgrades that are pending with Con Ed and scheduling that was beyond the control of the contractor. A few other minor items, but for the most part, would not have caused any problems. It's been a very active month, as many have been lately, in the administration office, whether numerous personnel issues, canvassing and establishing a list for future hiring, the Station 5 project, and the recent election. The last of which was due to the much hard work and dedication of Mr. Tom Andrews, working closely with Mary Lou Falcone in the front office. It went off without a hitch. And the Chief would also note the extensive assistance that was received from the Office of the Town Clerk, Linda Doherty, submitted by Chief Grogan.
Thank you, Assistant Chief. Thank you, Mr. Stupple. Tonight, we also have a series of minutes to approve. I emailed them out to the board. There are 4 sets of minutes: the September 12th regular meeting, the October 15th budget meeting, the October 15th regular meeting, and the October 29th special meeting. So I would look for a motion to adopt those minutes. Anyone like that?
Motion to adopt them?
In a second?
Second. The only question I have, Mr. Chairman, is some of us were at some meetings and some of us were not at others. Are we going to?
Okay, so I'll go to the meetings.
Sure.
The October 12th meeting, Mr. O'Hare was not present for that meeting, so I'll look for a motion to
I
adopt.
would move to adopt those minutes as read.
Okay, and a second on that? Jerry?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Abstain, fine. The budget meetings, we were all here for the budget meetings and the regular meeting, and so we can do the budget and the regular meeting together.
I would move to adopt both of them.
Okay, Mr. Baker first. A second?
Second it by Jerry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the special meeting of the 29th was Winter, Stiegelman, and Baker, and that was appointing the election officers. So I'd make a motion we adopt those.
Second.
Mr. Stiegelman? All in favor, Mr. Stiegelman? Aye. And 2 abstains, right? Okay, so those are the 4 sets of minutes. While we're discussing that, this will be our 22nd meeting of the season. So in 2013, we had 22 meetings, and our overall attendance for those from across the table, I've made 100% of the meetings, which was just good scheduling my wife's part, basically. And that's what happens there. Mr. O'Hare, and excuse me, the next, Mr. Napolitano and Mr. Baker made 86%. And I think in Mr. Baker's case, we should get a special nod because he's had military duty and along with making 68% of his meetings, which is quite phenomenal. So I think that's
Oh, thank you.
a true accomplishment. And then the others go 62% from Mr. Stiegelman and 57% from Mr. O'Hare. But all in all, we've had a large number of meetings and a large number of things accomplished, and hopefully next year we don't end up with 22 meetings on the year. And we're probably going to have to put one more meeting in this year. We'll just be dealing with, we might have an insurance issue that we have to roll over, and possibly we have to address the chief and the assistant chief. And like tonight, we interviewed 4 candidates. We need to do that with the chief and the assistant chief to just have a discussion. So there may be one more if it fits into people's schedule. So that's it for those, for the minutes. Deputy Treasurer's report. John Mozari, do you have your report?
Good evening, Commissioners. This is the Treasurer's report for the month of November. We're currently with a net surplus of $542,000 through November. Just to point out, in the month of December, we spend more than 20% of our budget. So when you hear the number of the surplus currently at 542, a lot of things happen in December that we don't know how we're going to end up with. The other thing I wanted to say is when we budget annually, and then we spread it 12 months across the year. So it's like a straight line budget. So things are being budgeted, yet have not been spent. So that leads to some of the surplus. You know, just one item there's 2 items in December to talk about. One is the retirement system, which is in excess of $2 million that we have to pay. And the other thing is the holiday pay, which was just paid this week, which is about $270,000. So those numbers, the surplus we currently look at is going to be quite a bit lower when we get to the end of December.
And the holiday pay is not because it's the holidays. The holiday pay is there 11 days a year that we
Yes.
split a 6 and a 5.
Yeah, and this pay
yes.
was a 6th one.
Right.
So it was 72 hours an end. On the revenue side, I've spoken to the town. We've confirmed the number they owe us. She couldn't give me an exact date, but we will have it by the end of the budget year. On the expense side, we're currently writing we're showing a $727,000 surplus. The item, that I spoke about leads to that surplus at the moment. But a lot of that will go away in December. I've also, as part of the Treasurer's report for this month, has attached a few budget transfers in the back of the report.
Again, with overtime.
You should be.
I have a budget transfer to increase, it should be the last page of the Treasurer's
I have it.
report.
Yep.
There are 3 there. There's one for $75,000 for overtime to increase the allocation for overtime.
I'm sorry.
We're actually listening.
We're listening.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I have another one in there for certiorari. Certiorari's are continue to run ahead of budget, and there's a $40,000 budget transfer for certiorari's. And the last one's an $11,000 transfer for mechanic salary, which is really paying John Lucente for some of his vacation.
Terminal leave.
Terminal leave, yeah,
Yeah.
vacation.
Yep.
So those are the 3 transfers there. They total $126,000. So I'm asking the board to approve that.
Okay, so I'll sum up. We're going to be moving money from the retirement system line to the overtime line. We'll be moving on all 3 of them, and the certiorarities are basically, we're getting in more certs than we had budgeted for. We're more-
And tonight you have about $35,000 in the pile there.
Okay, and the mechanic is, our mechanic, John Lucente, retired, and we moving it from the retirement line to the mechanic salary line, I understand. So I would offer out a motion that we do 3 budget transfers, all leaving the retirement line and adding up in the amounts of $75,000 going to overtime, $40,000 going into certiorari, and $11,000 going into mechanic salary. It will be all coming from line 0010.8. Do I have a second on that? All in favor of Mr. Stiegelman? Mr. O'Hare?
Aye.
And aye. Okay.
What I'd also like to point out to you is when you look at the financial reports, we have now renumbered the accounting system to come into compliance with the New York State Controller's Manual. We had an accounting system numbering that was not in compliance with it. We're now showing it as the manual shows it. So, you know, when you look at that, there's all new numbers on it.
Right, I noticed the numbering system is not the 3-digit number system I'm familiar with.
It's 4 and a dot afterwards.
Okay, so that's all good.
Yep.
And so now, we also went out for RFP during the quarter, and what we've done, and last year we went out for RFP in January because we were a little behind the time. We went out in January of 2013 for an RFP for an auditor. We retained the order sometime in March, I believe, and that order finished sometime in July. July or August to finish the audit. This year, and these are the audits, we'll be doing an audit now for 2013, which is due in 2014. So this year, we're going to retain an auditing firm, hopefully tonight, and it'll be for the 2013 audit. And the RFPs came back, and John will explain those.
I left a copy of a recommendation in front of you. In November, we did go out for bid. We posted it in the paper, the legal notice. We got 4 proposals back. We got O'Connor Davies, which is our auditor currently, Neil Sullivan, Nugent Hausler, and BST. That stands for Bellum, Sheedy, Tarani, and Company. As part of the RFP, we asked for 2 options or 2 bids. We asked for a 1-year proposal for 2013 and then a 5-year proposal. The analysis is in the back of the memo. O'Connor Davies was the low bidder.
$15,000 for O'Connor Davies for the 1 year, and $13,000 for the first 2 years, $13,300 the 3rd year, $13,600 the 4th year, $14,000 the 5th year. The second bidder was $17,000 first year, and if you did it in the 5-year sequence, $16,500, $16,500, $17,500. So those are your 2 contenders, I guess.
Yep. So in the memo, I've kind of outlined, you know, the bids. O'Connor Davies has been with the district between 15 and 20 years. I don't know exactly how long. This is the first time they've been asked to hold their feet to the fire in the sense they were bidding, having somebody bid against them for the services.
Well, last year we went out for bid, but nobody was willing to respond to us.
Correct.
What was the price difference from last year to this?
16.5 is what the audit was for 2012.
Okay.
So this year, it's 15. You know, this year was difficult from the point that, you know, we had a whole new business office who was not used to the audit firm. We were just getting QuickBooks on, you know, up to snuff. And they helped during that process to get us through it. They also happened to be the people that were sitting here for the medical issue that we were currently facing.
So let me explain that just slightly. When John joined us in about February, sometime in February, and rebuilt the QuickBooks record keeping that we had. We put all the new data, took all our data and basically put it back in again, and scrubbed all the data against all our checking account statements going back to 2012, and then reconciled the QuickBook account. And so we rebuilt the whole accounting package we had with income and expenses. We were really only showing the expenses prior to February 2013. So we think now a new auditor coming in will be looking at something they're expecting to see. In other words, we'll be able to generate printouts that we're expecting them to see. And so, and what happened this year was in the middle of our audit with O'Connor, Davies, Munson, and Dobbin for 2012, we've learned of the problems we've had with the healthcare payments, which is a material problem in our accounting. And so we had to negotiate with them how their disclosure was and how much disclosure. We wanted full disclosure in the document, in the audit, and we didn't want to give them any wiggle room, so we let them word it. And so that's what it was with O'Connor, Davies, Munson's, and Dobbins this year. So we needed to get an audit. They gave us an audit, and they didn't give us we got a qualified. We didn't get an unqualified opinion. So that's all good.
But going back, I did meet with BST. I met with one of their partners. They came in and talked, asked about this, how the district runs, how their accounting system is. Also met with Nugent Hausler, and they came in just to see how we're doing, and, their bids came to what I told them. But overall, from my point of view, the lowest bidder is O'Connor Davies, and that's who I'm recommending, even though there's been some issues. I also understand that they've been here a long time, and sometimes a new set of eyes looking at things will provide us with better recommendations to improve efficiencies. So the low dollar, the low bidder is O'Connor Davies in both categories. So I propose that we look at O'Connor Davies again.
Okay. Is there board discussion here?
Yes.
Yeah. But I'll go my view first, just so my view. I would go for a new auditing firm just because the $2,000 difference, and I would go for 1 year. The $2,000 difference, I like a new set of eyes after 15 years or so. And we've had enough cause of concern of, we're going back 15 years on accounting problems that, and I don't know how they happened or how they came about, but we do have a 15-year accounting issue we're looking at. So I have no idea how that happened, how it came about.
It's simple. We need a new set of eyes.
Yeah. That would be my view.
We need the new ones.
Okay?
Oh.
Are we looking at the second bidder?
Does anybody else have comment? You gentlemen over there have any comments?
I would tend to agree.
I would base my opinion on what John recommended,
Okay.
being that they are the, what I see here, this year I had a chance, this is based on what he has written over here. This year I had a chance to work with O'Connors and Davies and found them to be very knowledgeable and professional. They are also the largest audit firm for municipalities. On the other side, after 15 or 20 years, we may want to set a new set of eyes. I just feel comfortable with them. If the board feels to go in the other direction, I have no problem, but based on your expertise, I would go what you first recommended.
Okay. Mr. Stugman, you have any comment?
No, I feel the same way Ray does. They've been here a long time. There was a problem, and I think they're willing to rectify it and go ahead.
Okay.
And I think with John working with them, I think they'll be a good company to work with.
Okay. So I would make a motion, my interest is going with a new set of eyes. I don't think the dollar amount is material enough to concern ourselves with. It's the lowest responsible bidder, and it's on a services contract for expertise. You have no requirement to go to the lowest bidder. So I would suggest we pick BST at $17,000 for 1 year, and if they work out well, we can consider the 5-year deal next year. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Stiegelman?
No.
Mr. O'Hare? No. Mr. Napolitano?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Winter, yes. So we're going to go with the BST for the new auditing firm.
1 year at $17,000.
1 year, $17,000, and hopefully we'll get an audit done and filed with the state in a timely manner, and if we do, it'll be a good thing. So, thank you, John. That's been, and thank you for all the effort this year. It's been well done, very well done. Okay. Tom, you're here. I'm sorry, I should probably took you first, considering all the time you have spent on this election. Tom Andres ran the, as the election chairman, ran the election. Tom learned it was a much more complicated task than, because we have a lot of election inspectors and a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of work to do, and he did a magnificent job doing it, and I think it mechanically ran very smooth, even though we had horrible weather, and I'll let you give your report, Tom.
Well, what I'd like to do, Chairman, and thank you for your comments, is to read the certificate of results that were cast at the annual election of the town fire district of the town of Eastchester, New York, held on the 10th day of December, 2013. This is a memo to the Board of Commissioners of the Town Fire District, Town of Eastchester, New York. I, Thomas Andrus, being chairman of election, do hereby certify that the annual election of the Town Fire District of the Town of Eastchester, New York, held therein on December 10th, 2013, the following facts are true and correct with respect to the Eastchester, New York Fire District. With respect to the election of one Fire District Commissioner for a full term of 5 years commencing January 1st, 2014 and terminating December 31st, 2018. Total number of votes cast was 775. There were no write-ins. The votes were cast for the following candidates for the office of Fire District Commissioner for a full term of 5 years. Mr. Richard Stiegelman, 287 votes. For Mr. Peter J. Incledon, 488 votes.
Okay, thank you, Tom, and thank you for your work. And I think we have to make a special thank you to the men and women that came out to do the poll workers. Every year we hire 55 poll workers. These are people who've been doing it for many, many years, and there was a particularly icy cold night for them to come out, and they all came out and did what they were supposed to do. And so we thank them for coming, and thank you, Tom, for spending all the time. Now, next year, let me just get off the hook yet. Next year is probably going to be a November election, and we're going to have to, as a board, reach out to we'll have to reach out to someone, and we'll have to probably bring somebody in as a consultant to meet with the county and organize how we're going to run this election, because there's going to be, as we learned, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot that has to go on here, and we have to get going now, because if we need to change any section of New York State election law, we'll run the election in November, but if we want to refine that current process, because some of us can see some kinks that might happen, we need to start doing that process tomorrow. So we're not going to wait till November or June to start doing next year's election process. We have to start planning ahead today. But
So that being said, I wouldn't mind this being almost a citizen-type effort or citizen committee-type effort, if we could reach out, if anyone would be interested, to meet with us and the Board of Elections so we can make the process better and more streamlined.
well, I think that's true, but I think what's going to happen is you're going to need one person who's dedicated
Yeah.
to doing it. And as Mr. Andres found out with this election, it's very all time-consuming.
The more involvement we can get from citizens as a committee, I'd prefer that more than anything.
I do have the
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll share.
I have one, thank you.
I have one, Tom. I have an extra if you need it.
Tom, I want to thank you as well. Thanks for all your hard work on this.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'll make one note about this election, just one comment. I saw an email string sent out by a woman in Eastchester that Mr. Inkledon currently works for me. He doesn't. So that, just, we can put that to bed. Mr. Inkledon is not an employee of my firm, okay? So, and so that, we don't need to have those rumors out there. And I emailed the person when I saw and said, please correct that, and never heard another word back that it was not corrected or whatever. So that's all I'll say, so there's no confusion about that. Okay. Committee reports. Career firefighters?
It's actually, we keep writing,
I know, I keep, it's like cut and paste, that's why.
let's see, we have been meeting regularly with the union, with the union. I spoke with the president of the union, was it Tuesday, Sean? Okay. We have a meeting scheduled actually, we don't have a meeting scheduled, do we? It would have been today, but didn't really have anything we needed a pressing meet about, so we'll probably meet again after the holidays, but if we need to meet, we'll set it up. There's nothing to report there of anything new. Is that fair? Okay. Okay. But we have regular communications with them now, and we have a regular once-a-month meeting, whether we need it or not, and we meet as needed. So things are moving along well with them.
Okay, the House Committee? Are you done?
Done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, like, Assistant Chief Stupple gave everyone a little bit of a status. We look like we could be ready for Saturday for moving into the new firehouse number 5. There's still some minor punch list items that can easily be done while the location is inhabited. So we're still moving forward to hopefully move in for Saturday. We did have a little bit of a water leak there this evening, yesterday evening, that needs to be addressed. But other than that, everything seems to be ready to accept the firefighters at the firehouse number 5 after the construction.
Do you want to do the tables that we need to,
The what?
the purchase order?
I gotta still calculate that.
Okay,
Oh, this purchase order.
purchase order.
Well, we bring that
Oh,
up
wait.
as extra. at the
Okay,
end.
okay,
And that's all I had on the committee.
okay,
Dennis, I think you got B, volunteer committee.
okay. Volunteer committee, Mr. Stiegelman?
I have no report, but I just want to take the time to thank everyone for their support that came out, and wish them a happy and healthy new year. And I want to wish Mr. Inkledon, is that how you pronounce his name?
I think, you shouldn't ask me to pronounce
Wish him
names.
all the luck in his
Inkledon is
5-year term.
probably right. Yeah. I'm the last person to pronounce her name. I'm horrible.
I just want to wish him luck in his 5-year term.
Thank you. Communications, Ray?
I have nothing to see, Mr. Chairman.
Grant, we do have something on Grant, and the Assistant Chief can probably, and it's,
About the documentation archiving?
yeah, there's a seminar coming up.
Yes, there's the commissioners made me aware of an archive grant from New York State that's available possibly to us, and we researched that, and there is an informational seminar coming up, and I'm enrolled for that, and I'll report back with the results thereafter.
Okay, perfect.
It's interesting, too, that we came out of this meeting just before an executive session. It's not a secret, but there's a substantial amount of documents that we need to archive when it comes to fire prevention. We still have a substantial amount of index cards that are used for inspecting tanks. So I would ask if we can leverage that, that grant for those documentation archiving as well.
Certainly, the meeting the seminar rather, from what I understand, will give a scoping of what's available,
Okay.
and we'll see how we can fit it into our operations.
That's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea, because the fire prevention, that whole room has to get cataloged
Yeah,
somehow.
the tank removal
Files.
cards, I think, are 50 years old, right?
Yep. And
And they're landmark, we can't touch them.
We'll save them. We just won't burn them.
Health and wellness, Jerry? And technology?
Nothing to report there. New technology, nothing to report.
Okay. And communications are We don't have any communications really to
We got a
discuss.
Christmas card from the Eastchester Volunteer Ambulance Corps, Mr. Chairman, that somebody very funnily left on my seat. Thank you very much. But thank you for the holiday card.
Okay. Sean, local 916 report?
Good evening, Sean Stewart, President of Local 916 and a resident of the north end of Eastchester. I heard you talk about Station 5, so we're going to be moving in on Saturday, possibly?
Possibly, yeah.
All right, on the move-in date, whenever it is, I know, talking to the commissioners, a couple of you, there's been some hiccups here and there. Do we have a moving company lined up already?
Yeah, the Santini Brothers Moving
Okay,
looks like they're going to be the movers. And the weather's going to be inclement on Saturday, but they believe they can pull indoors, so therefore the weather wouldn't be a factor, because they can work indoors and indoors. With
bay to the other bay.
Yeah, what we're waiting on is a Con Edison issue that it's scheduled for Friday to be done, and if it's not done Friday, then that might be a hiccup. But other than that, we should be ready to go Saturday.
okay, and then, I know we were talking the other day, Dennis, there was concern about cleanup, and you said upstairs was done satisfactorily. Has anything been done with downstairs? Because I understand that had to be cleaned up or power washed or...
No, they clean the windows on the apparatus floor. They still have some ladders and debris that they have to leave, but it's perfectly fine. We'll be moving into a building that's, quote, broom swept and ready to go.
The guys might have to clean it a little better, but it's
Excuse me.
Yeah.
All right, on the commissioner's election, I'd like to wish Mr. Stiegelman Ritchie good luck in your future endeavors. It was a pleasure working with you for these last 5 years. With Peter, and again, I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name, I wish him a lot of luck and congratulations, and looking forward to working with him as of the first of the year. Our annual Christmas raffle for Local 916 will be going off next Wednesday. I'd like to thank the public at this point for their support, and hopefully by the time we pull the raffles by Christmas, we'll have the prize winners contacted and have their checks in hand, and we'll make that official announcement in the January meeting. We still have our Toys for Tots going, which brings me to the question, once we move back into Station 5, would it be okay for them now to start bringing toys up to Station 5?
Oh, totally, yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just to let the,
There's stuff there now. I was there last night, and the back room is clean, and the door was closed. Someone's already been accepting toys in there.
okay, and just to let the public know, we will be accepting toys through the holidays and the first of the year, and what we do with the overflow of toys, we make sure they go out to underprivileged kids in the area, so they do not go to waste. And just two last things, real quick. If I could have a couple of minutes of the board's time when we're done, it'll take maybe a minute or two. I have some information to share with you, gentlemen, if that's okay. I would, on behalf of Local 916, I would like to wish the board and everybody in the public a happy and healthy New Year and a Merry Christmas. And a point of personal privilege, I lost my brother, older brother Chip. He was a fireman here for 30 years on November 18th. And I would like to thank the district on behalf of my father, my older sister Nancy, my brother Kevin, his wife Debbie, and his three girls, Kristen, Ashley, and Kerry. What the district did, and also on behalf of Eastchester PD, Bronxville PD, Tuckahoe PD, and the special thanks to Local 916, gave him a nice send-off and made my father and his wife Debbie feel real proud that he was a fireman here in the fire district. Unfortunately, he only retired 3 years ago, and today he would have been 61. He'll be sorely missed all the way around, and again, gratitude to the district and the three local PDs and Local 916 for giving him a nice send-off, and thank you very much.
We're sorry. Thank you, Sean, and we're sorry about your brother. Okay. Well, there's no one here. Volunteer report? There's no one here for that, right? Okay, unfinished. Volunteers report? Okay. Okay.
Tony Fiore, Waverly Engine Company. It's got a little thing tonight for Commissioner Spiegelman. Thanks for supporting us. Good luck on your future endeavors. Congratulations for the new commissioner. Hope that we're working with him. And just happy holidays to everybody and have a nice New Year.
Okay, and
Thank you.
thank you. And I think there is a general feeling on the board, if the volunteers want to get organized and come back with a plan, and Commissioner Baker and maybe the new commissioner or the board in general, we're not unsympathetic. Just, come back with somebody has to come back with a plan.
All right, I'll bring it up with Anthony and the deputy chief and all that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you for coming. Okay. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business tonight? Jerry, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm calculating right now.
Okay, so I'll go to the next thing. We had an interview tonight where we had the Office of Fire Prevention. The firefighter has been in that office 7 years. His lieutenant, Thomas Pintoval, and he's done an outstanding job. And we're going to be promoting a captain tonight, firefighter from a lieutenant to a captain. And I would make a motion. Yeah, that's an page.
Mutual aid.
That's a mutual aid call to Mount Vernon. See, we all have little technology now. So when the mutual aid call from Mount Vernon comes in, we get the iPage, and that's when you know it's Mount Vernon calling for help. So we will send probably our ladder 17 or ladder 15 to Mount Vernon. So, as I was saying, I would offer a motion that or Jerry, do you want to do it as career? Mr. Baker, you want to do it as career, that we promote Mr. Lieutenant Pintoval, Thomas Pintoval, to captain?
I would make that motion, but before I make that motion, if I may, I was very impressed with the quality of every candidate that came forward tonight. The breadth of experience and the wealth of experience and the ideas that they all brought were very impressive, and they were each outstanding in their own way. But I personally feel that Pintoval was the best candidate, and I would move that he be promoted to captain.
Okay. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. O'Hare will second it. Commissioner, and on Commissioner Baker's comment, we ran late having those interviews, and they ran longer than we were anticipating, they're generally shorter, but we found every candidate interesting. There was interesting comments, interesting, and they were all superb candidates. They came well-versed, they were all well-spoken, they all presented well, and they all had interesting facts and comments that I hadn't, some of them I hadn't thought of, and I've been on this board a while, and Ray's been on for a long time, and Jerry's been on a couple of years, and you learn things that you say, oh, that's interesting, we got to take that seriously. So I thought it was a very productive interview set.
I think we need to, as a board, need to figure out how we do more of that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be during this time of interview. How can we, as a board, bring in subordinate officers to understand what's going on?
Yeah.
So we have that view and understanding.
Yeah.
It was enlightening for me tonight, where I saw some issues that I thought were being taken care of when they weren't, things that I knew we could fix and within 10 minutes, by the way, and they seem to have been struggling with them for weeks and months. So I think we do need to do more. I don't know how we do it, though.
And it's not
How do
something-
we, as a board, talk to lieutenants or subordinates without interfering the chain of command of the captain?
Right, because some of it was technology-driven. Some of them was, if we could do this technology-wise, we would be happier. And Jerry's kind of up the curve on technology. I'm a little up on the curve on technology. And you say, well, we can do that. We have the tools. We have the systems. If we happen to use this, we happen to use a Google Drive system, which we think is phenomenal. And Google has all the tools. You just have to be current on those tools. And it takes Jerry tutoring us on those tools on a regular basis to use them. But we all use Google email here on the board, and we communicate via not our personal email, all Google email. So those kind of tools we can leverage and move, and so having a conversation tonight was productive. It's nothing that we were doing improper, it's just that we could do better, and so that's all.
I think we need to figure out how to do that more often.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Stiegelman?
Abstain.
Abstain? Where the roll call vote is for, to promote Captain Thomas Pinterville.
You talking to me?
Yeah,
Oh, aye.
aye,
I
okay.
second it.
Yeah, okay.
One would hope, but it's a formality.
You were looking at me like I wasn't sure what I was talking about. Jerry
Aye.
and Mr. Baker?
I would join in Commissioner O'Hare's comments. I proposed it. I would hope I'd vote
Okay.
yes.
And aye. So congratulations, Tommy, and you've done a phenomenal job in that position, and, and we appreciate the job you've done. So that was one part of business. Now, you were looking at the
Yes,
bills,
so I
Jerry?
have two additional bills. So we have, we are in receipt of an itemized bill from SEBA Contracting for some of the work they did in Fire Station Number 5. I've itemized it, went through what I feel they've completed and what they haven't, discussed it with the chief. So in total, we would be looking at approving $50,000 and $50,500 this evening.
There you go.
I would share this with anybody if they want to. Do you guys want to see this?
Yeah, you can pass it down. This is SEBA's bill. Excuse me?
What did you say? I was looking at Rob.
Oh, this is a SEBA Contracting submitted a bill for more than, we're not paying what their bill completely is. We're paying the itemized portion of what we think they did.
Okay, works for me.
Okay.
Only one incident commander.
So they're asking for 61 and we're giving them 50. Is that it? 15 and 5.
500.
Okay, so you want to make a motion, we do that? 50.
Yeah, make a motion to pay SEBA Contractor in the amount of $50,500.
I'll second that. All in favor? Mr. Stiegelman? Aye. Mr. O'Hare?
Aye.
Mr. Baker, aye. And Mr. Napolitano?
Aye.
And aye.
And then in addition to that, we have a purchase order request. So part of the move-in into Station 5, we're going to be replacing some of the dressers and drawers and the mattresses. So we have a purchase order to East Coast Furniture, doing business at Gothic Cabinet Craft on Central Avenue in the amount of $4,212. So anyone want to make a motion to approve that?
I'll looking for, did you make the motion?
Make a motion, yeah.
Yep, and I'll second it. All in favor on that?
I think you better poll, it's money.
Okay. Mr. Stiegelman?
Aye.
Mr. O'Hare?
Aye.
Mr. Napolitano?
Aye.
Mr. Baker?
Aye.
And I'll say aye. Okay, so that's what we rebuilt the whole firehouse. We have all busted up furniture. We're buying new mattresses and in the dormitory, simple dressers and simple mattresses for the dormitory. So that's what that is. Okay, moving along. Unfinished business, new business. We have the bills to pay, which the board is passing around. And so and I'll also make a note, our meetings are now available. We've been putting the meetings up on YouTube. So if somebody wants to see our meetings other than the scheduled time on the local TV channel, if you go to YouTube, type in eastchesterfd.com, just to Eastchester FD, and then you'll see the meeting notice, you'll see the meetings, and we're putting them up as we get them, we're putting them up. So right now, there's about 4 of them up there, and it's an easy way to view the meetings.
You can do them at your own time, your own discretion. You can fast forward, rewind, etc. Won't have to wait for them to be posted on the community channels on Verizon Fios or Cablevision. You can go and look at them at your leisure. If you need to know the address, you can just go to eastchesterfd.com, and there's a link there that will bring you directly to the video archive. Or feel free to email me, napolitano@eastchesterfd.com.
Right. And in the last 2 weeks, the Village of Bronxville was very good. They played our November 14th meeting quite a bit in the last 2 weeks. Eastchester must have been tied up or something. They really didn't play it until after starting this Wednesday. They started playing it. So we put it up on YouTube, those meetings, and we got a large number of hits, over 100 or something hits on YouTube after we posted them, and that's good. And we also have Twitter alerts. If somebody wants to sign up for a Twitter alert, Jerry puts them on. They'll get a Twitter alert of our meetings and when our meetings are going to be. So does anybody, we have the payment of bills. How about opportunity for public to speak right now? Mary?
There was
I miss something?
board member comments.
Yeah, but I'm
Good
going to do that
evening,
after.
Mary Nagel-Smith, Bronxville. Typically, when we think about public servants, we think about people who are elected or appointed. In the case of Mr. Thomas Wolf, he was neither elected nor appointed. He was a very active, in my mind, a model citizen. Not only did he attend virtually every one of the Eastchester Fire District meetings, and he was fully prepared with his binder. He attended the Bronxville School Board meetings. He was a very, very active member of the Reformed Church. He also attended the Town of Eastchester meetings. Recently, he passed away, and he will be sorely missed, and he was very much appreciated. Thank you.
Mary, I was going to reserve comment for later, but Mr. Wolf to be was, over the years, these meetings have at times been difficult and passionate or whatever. And Mr. Wolf basically has been here every meeting for the last, I'll call it 8 years, 7 years, pretty much every meeting. If we did 21 meetings this year, 22 meetings, he made 18 of them. He was here for almost every meeting, and not only the meetings here, the meetings at the firehouse at 8 o'clock in the morning. And he would take the resolutions. If I had a resolution I knew was going to go out, I had to give it to him before the meeting because I wanted him to proofread it, and he would make corrections, and he, in a very pleasant demeanor, tell me why he's changing it, and he was just excellent. He was, I'm sure there were some public officials at times that found him challenging because he challenged them, but he was excellent at what he did as a citizen. He was a model for people to follow. The school, he's probably saved this community millions of dollars with his diligence. I'm talking about the Bronxville community. Because years ago, before I was on the fire board, I was somewhat active in the school, and I'd be over there, and Mr. Wolf was always going through the minutes, going through the motions, looking how the money flows worked, look what the law said. He was a wonderful, absolutely, really pleasant man.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to add the same thing. I think Mr. Wolf was one of the most nicest person I ever met. And I believe he was the type of person who came to meetings because he really cared about the board, he cared about the public, and he would correct you, but he would always do it in a way to assist you. And if you had something wrong, he made sure it was written down, and he would give it to you for the good of the fire district and the fire board.
Right.
So, Mr. Chairman, if we may, I would like to make a motion to close the meeting in his memory this evening.
Yes, yes. With,
Had a little longitis, so
Yep.
bear with me.
I would like to reinforce what Commissioner O'Hare said. He did a really good job of challenging the board, and I think as board members, I look forward to that, honestly, because we're volunteers. There's just so much time we can dedicate to doing the right job 100% of the time. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. And having someone like Mr. Wolf out in the audience challenging us, forcing us to do the right, not forcing us to do the right thing. We always do the right thing, hopefully here, but maybe we missed something. He's able to tell us what I forgot, what T to cross, and then always come back with supportive documentation to help us. I looked at him as a resource for the fire district that we now lost. So because of his loss, we are now going to be burdened with more work. Not that I'm saying we're not signing up to it, but I always looked at it as a resource for us that we're now losing for the entire department.
And if I may add, I totally concur with every comment that was made. about Mr. Wolf by my colleagues. The other thing about him was he appreciated spirited, vigorous debate, which is great and is the backbone of every democracy, but he wouldn't tolerate and wouldn't stand for mean-spiritedness, pettiness, name-calling, disrespect in the forum. And we all could take a page out of his book for that. I know he was a better man than I ever will be in that regard, and he will be sorely missed. There were many meetings that were not by the board up here, but by people in the audience getting contentious, and he had no problem standing up and saying, look, you have a right to express your opinions, you should express your opinions, but do it in a respectful, proper manner, and with the right language. So thank you, Mr. Wolf. I know he's in a better place. Hopefully we'll try to live up to his example.
Okay, and we all concur. I think it's unanimous. So, thank you, Mr. Wolf. We have the bills to pay, and I don't know what else we have to do tonight. I'm looking through my notes to see if I have anything else. We do have an insurance issue coming up. We didn't get the quote in time for year end. We'll ask the insurance company to roll over 30 days if they didn't get it for the annual insurance. And I would like for the board, if possible, I know it's a vacation time, at some point in time, the chief and the assistant chief have been on a contract since, not a contract, but they haven't seen a pay increase since 2010. We have adjusted everybody else in the department, the membership, so we have to sit down with them and do that. So hopefully we can do that soon. And a comment about the chief. The chief has taken, he's not here tonight because he wasn't feeling well, but he has taken on a tremendous amount of responsibility this year with the just night shifts filings, that's our insurance filings, with our administrative filings, and he's been assisted by John, and Tom was helping with the election, and Mary Lou Falcone. But we've had, we as a board can be fairly demanding because we're trying to right a ship, and the chief is the guy who we throw this all on. And because if in the fire department you can't go below the chief, you got to go to the chief. It's not fair to go around him. So he's been done an incredibly good job. We've been bogging him down with a ton of work, and he's risen to the occasion, and we're thankful. So I think we have the bills here. You folks
We
reviewed them?
reviewed them on our end.
Okay.
Is the chief comfortable? Nothing, no problems?
Nothing, has no problems. He reviewed them early before he got here.
Right.
With John Molinari. So I would look for a motion, we accept the bills. Anybody?
Make a motion to accept the bills?
Yep, I'll give you the amount in a second. Well, this is probably, yeah. Mr. Baker, anybody want to second this?
Yes, if I don't die of a sneeze fit first. No, you keep giving me water, I appreciate it, but this is,
Anybody want to second paying the
I'll
bills?
second it, yeah.
Mr. Stiegelman?
Aye.
Mr. O'Hare? Mr. Napolitano?
Aye.
Mr. Baker?
aye.
And aye. Okay, so that's the bill. And now we have John does the bills, the chief reviews them all, and at least two board members review them all before we move them ahead. And so, does anybody else have any more business tonight? We have public board comments, but does anybody?
Oh, I just was going to ask you if you're going to recognize the outgoing,
Yes.
okay.
Tonight will be, it'll be probably the last public board meeting we have. And I'd like to thank Mr. Stiegelman for his time on the board. It's a 5-year commitment, it's a volunteer commitment, and thank him for that time.
Thank you.
And does anybody have any board comments?
No, thanks for your time as well, Commissioner.
I would also like to thank you, Richie. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Pleasure working with you also.
I join in that, and everything has been said already, but
And we're going to close the meeting tonight in honor of Chip Stewart, who was the fireman, that's Sean's brother, who was a fireman for 30 years, who I happen to particularly like. Chip was a perfectly wonderful, gregarious, friendly, I won't say all the characteristics unlike Sean, but he was a particularly nice guy. And anybody who knew Chip knew he was a particularly nice guy. He was just friendly at the first instant. And so it was very sad. And then right at the day after Chip passed away, I believe, the day before Chip passed away, Mr. Wolf passed away. So, and Mr. Wolf passed away 2 days after he was at a meeting on Thursday night. He was correcting my resolutions on Thursday night and then passed away Saturday morning. So it was sad. So let's close the meeting in
I would
memory
just
of
like
both.
to add also, it was a pleasure working with your brother, Sean, all those years.
Okay. Motion to close the meeting?
Make a motion to close the meeting.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.